Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to give you 7 fat loss tips for type 1 diabetics. Make sure you stick around to the end because number 7 is super common that we come across a lot. And I'm going to tell you how to solve it. It's also one of the most frustrating ones. So it's the start of the new year at the time recording this. And I'm guessing, like a lot of us, we've all got goals, whether that's improving our blood sugar control, whether that's losing a little bit of weight, improving our fitness, whatever it is. And this is always the best time to start anything new, really. Well, it's never a right time to start improving our control and health, right? Now is the right time. Anytime's the right time. But if I had to pick one, it would definitely be January because motivation is always at the highest. And we see this within our clients time and time again. That's why people that coach, people like myself, we have a massive influx in the new year all the time. So let's get into these 7 tips. Before I do, though, hit that thumbs up button, like and subscribe so you never miss when I put a new video out. So, tip number 1 is get some control over your blood sugar levels. Now, by this, I mean, if you're having a lot of highs and a lot of lows, it will make dropping body fat that much harder. It's just going to make it more challenging. So, get some consistency and control in your levels. Now, to do this will be an entirely separate video, but to give you a few tips, test your basal rate, test your insulin to carb ratio, learn how to bolus for fats and proteins. They're some of the main sort of fundamentals. Yeah. But that's tip number 1. Get some consistency and some control over your blood sugar level. It's going to make the fat loss process much, much easier. Tip number 2, we're still humans at the end of the day, and we need to create a calorie deficit in order to drop body fat. Now, a lot of type 1s will always say, it's insulin. Insulin's the reason that I can't lose body fat. Too much insulin, eating carbs. It's not. Insulin's a transporter hormone. It can't just transport anything and turn it into fat. It needs food there at the end of the day. But that could be a whole separate video. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. What I will say is create a calorie deficit. Usually around 500 calories is sufficient. And by calorie deficit, I'm sure you've heard it time and time again. It's basically burning more calories than you consume every single day. Like, that's it. It's that simple. You'll know if you're in a calorie deficit because your weight will start to come down. If it doesn't, it's nothing to do with the insulin. It's nothing to do with anything else. You just need to eat less. Yeah. Tip number 3, save between 200 and 400 calories a day for hypo treatments. And we'll get into this deeper later on. So say you've worked your calories out. Let's say it's 1,800 calories, just throwing numbers out there. Like, this may or may not be right for you. I would then maybe eat 1,500 calories and save those extra calories for hypo treatments just in case. You know what? At the end of the day, if you don't have any lows, feel free to have a snack or just leave it as a bigger deficit. Number 4 is quite a big one. Do some form of resistance training. You don't want to end up skinny fat, which can happen if you don't lift any weights or anything like that. Just create a calorie deficit. You'll start to lose muscle as well because our body will eat away at fat and muscle. We want to preserve as much muscle as possible. And we do that by resistance training, stressing the muscles. Nice and simple. Don't end up skinny fat. Do some resistance training. It'll also help massively with your insulin sensitivity. Tip number 5 is track your weight every single day so you can get an average. Look, yes, you can track it week to week, but sometimes the readings may be a little bit different. I'm a big fan of what I do personally because I'm currently looking to lose a few kilos. And that we do with all of our clients is when we wake up, when we've been to the toilet, we'll be our lightest first thing in the morning. Step on the scales, write that number down. There's also apps that can track it as well. Do all that, add all the numbers up. If you get 7 days, add them all up, divide by 7. You get 5 days, add them all up, divide by 5. However many days that you get the bloody picture. And this is going to give you an average. What you then can do is do the same again the next week, and then you can compare the 2 numbers. If your weight's dropped, then you know what? Tracking your food and stuff, you're in that calorie deficit. If you stayed the same, you found your maintenance level of calories. You just need to decrease those. Need a little bit less. If you've gained weight, you need to decrease even further because you're in a calorie surplus. Number 6 is be consistent over time. A lot of people don't like hearing this, but look, Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah. Same with anything, managing our blood, anything that we want, we need to put the reps in every single day. And we need to be consistent over time. It doesn't just happen tomorrow. Yeah. Fat loss is a consistent process. Yeah. So you need to be consistent. Just because, let's say you don't see a drop one week, fair enough. Go in, make some adjustments. Don't just throw the bloody ball in and quit, throw the towel in and quit. Be consistent over time. And then tip number 7, this is the big one. This is where a lot of type 1s always mess up, get really frustrated, and quit on the fat loss journey. It's when hypos start to increase. So you need to be willing to adjust, which will be decrease your background, your long-lasting insulin, pens or pump, when you start to have more hypos. Look, when we create a calorie deficit and we start to lose weight, we start to burn through glycogen stores in our muscle cells, in our liver. Yeah. What this means is if our background insulin is correct, that's responsible for all the glucose that our liver pushes out. Now, if we're burning through that, it pushes out less glucose, which means there'll be too much basal insulin there, which means when we're on a fat loss journey, we're getting smaller, we're eating better, we're burning through that stored glucose, that glycogen, we start to have more lows. It's a really normal part of the process. All you need to do when your hypo start to increase, like I say, can't state this enough, it's a normal part of the process. Don't quit, go in, reduce your basal, reduce your background insulin, and you'll have to do this several times throughout your fat loss journey as you start to lose weight, as you start to become more insulin sensitive. It's a really normal part of the process. But don't just sit there and then keep treating these lows and not adjusting your insulin, because then eventually what will happen is you'll knock yourself out of that calorie deficit and you won't lose any weight or you'll gain weight. And this is why then a lot of type 1s are like, oh, it doesn't work for me. Losing weight doesn't work for me because I'm diabetic. It's the insulin. It's not. It's just you're not willing to go in and adjust the insulin when it needs adjusting. Yeah. So, quick recap. Number 1 is control your blood sugar levels, get some form of consistency in those. Number 2 is create a calorie deficit. Number 3 is save 200 to 400 calories a day for any hypo treatments. Number 4, do some form of resistance training. Don't end up skinny fat. It's also going to help with mental health and your insulin sensitivity. Number 5, track your weight daily so you can get an average. Number 6, be consistent. And number 7, when those lows start to increase, because guarantee that they will do, don't quit. Just go in and adjust your basal insulin. And there we have it. Implement these 7 tips, and I can guarantee one of your goals this year is to improve your control, start to drop some body fat and lose some weight. You will start to achieve that goal. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.